Hello everybody, how's it going? Do I trust Fragrantica? Honestly speaking with you, no, I don't. I take what the reviews on Fragrantica say with a little grain of salt. And my reason for that is because with my personal experience, Fragrantica's been like an 85% miss, 15% hit with fragrances I was actually interested in, fragrances that I tried, And to me, that is just so off the mark. It came to a point where when I would see Fragrantica reviews and it was mainly negative, I was like, oh shit, this might be something I like, and for the most part, it ends up being something I like. An example of that was Elysium by Raja Parfums. This scent I actually didn't look at reviews for before I wore it. So I was wearing the fragrance after a couple times, and then I decided to look it up. And I saw people saying that, oh, this is just a niche wannabe version of Bleu de Chanel. They're like, just save yourself the money and get Dior Sauvage. Or they're like, it's trying to be like Creed Aventus. It's not worth it. It's basic, super unoriginal, right? And the only commonality that I see with the fragrances mentioned, like Sauvage, Bleu de Chanel, Aventus, and Elysium, is that they're mass appealing, fresh fragrances. Other than that, they do not smell alike. And people might argue with Aventus and Elysium because they have that pineapple note. But to me, those are impossible to interchange. There is no way I'm gonna smell Creed Aventus on somebody and be like, that's Elysium. They just smell totally different. Just because something is fresh and popular doesn't mean that it smells like another fresh, popular fragrance, or that you can replace it, or not replace, but interchange it that easily. So I was like, well, damn, good thing I didn't look at these reviews before I actually smelled Elysium. Another example was 1 Million Lucky. I actually looked at the reviews before I got the sample of it. One of my followers sent me her sample for it. And they were saying that it was, they were like, this is just like your regular 1 million, the OG is better, but even at that, this has been too played out. Nobody likes this anymore. Everybody's sick of it, right? And then when I wore it, first of all, I loved it. So that's all that matters, right? But then as I was going about my day, that thing was pulling endless compliments. I was being showered in compliments when I was testing out 1 Million Lucky. And I'm not saying compliments are everything, but that just shows the stark difference between what people in the real world think about your fragrance when they smell it versus people online that already have, their, here's how I'll say it. A lot of these people online posting on Fragrantica are people that are very enthusiastic about fragrances. This is a big hobby for them, so their noses are very refined. They are into very unique, bold, polarizing scents for the most part. They've gone over the simple things, don't really scratch that itch anymore. That's just what I've observed, right? So whenever there is a fragrance that is simple, and it might be pricey because it's a designer private blend or even a niche fragrance, they automatically shit on it. Same with like Amris Homme, where people are like, oh yeah, you shouldn't get Amris Homme. This is not even that good of a fragrance. But then whenever people smell it on me, they just go logo for it. So I'm like, what is the truth? I'm only gonna go off my experience with it. So yeah, it's kind of another way that I can relate this is, like with movie critics, right? Whenever you see a movie that critics are like, oh, this is shit, blah, 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 it usually ends up being one of probably the highest grossing movie of that weekend or the year or whatever, right? It's a crowd favorite. Whenever a movie is a crowd favorite, you can guarantee that critics are just hating on it and they're like, oh, this is just, the storytelling is ass, blah, blah, blah. So to a small particular group of people, I think Fragrantica is a reliable source. And the small group of people I'm talking about are the fragrance enthusiasts that have a really, really developed nose. I'll call them the fragrance veterans. They can already handle that skanky, fecal, oud sort of smell that will put a lot of other people off. That will be a bit too much and just unique to a point where it smells bad to the general public, right? And then what you also have to remember is usually when people post reviews for things online, here's how to say it. When you get a product, right, and you like the product, your first thought isn't to be like, oh, let me go write a review on this online. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I like this, sweet. Usually people that dislike products will take their disliking to the internet and be like, oh, this thing was blah, 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 blah. So of course you see a little bit more of the negativity than the positivity. All right. And this video, just to wrap it up, isn't meant to sway anybody, to tell you, don't trust them, do this, whatever. Make that decision on your own. If it's been great for you, please continue doing that. If you prefer to just get samples and smell whatever you want and make that decision for yourself, great. If you have a reviewer that shares a similar taste to you and then you want to get samples, that's amazing as well. There is no wrong way to do it. But unfortunately for me, Fragrantica is just not something I rely on or something I use to even to see if I would be interested at all. But anyways, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.